point every evening, your world quietly shuts down. Or at least, that's what it looks like. One minute your backyard is alive, a flicker of wings at the feeder. A cardinal perched like a red signal against the fading light. A chickadee darting through branches with restless energy. And then, almost without warning, everything stops. Within 20 minutes, the motion disappears. The sounds fade. The branches sit perfectly still, as if nothing had ever been there at all. Most people never question it. They assume the birds just leave. Scatter into the distance is less than #0. 6-5 hash is greater than vanish into the larger world. But that assumption is wrong, because the truth is far more precise, far more calculated, and far more intense than anyone realizes. What looks like disappearance is actually a transition, a shift into a completely different mode of survival. And tonight, while you sleep, everything you thought you understood about the quiet of your backyard is about to change. That sudden silence isn't random. It's triggered by something birds are far more sensitive to than we are: light. Not just the presence or absence of it, but the exact level of it. Birds operate on a circadian rhythm that is calibrated down to subtle shifts in brightness. As the sun dips below the horizon, there is a narrow window, a threshold, where light drops just enough to signal danger. Not darkness itself, but the uncertainty before darkness fully sets in. This is the most vulnerable moment of the day. Predators begin to move. Visibility drops, and birds respond with urgency. In rural areas is less than #0. 6-5 hash is greater than where there's no artificial light. This transition is sharp and decisive. But in cities and suburbs, where streetlights and porch lights blur the boundary between day and night, birds often delay this shift. They linger longer. They miscalculate. And sometimes, that delay is enough to cost them their lives. What you're seeing in those 20 minutes isn't disappearance. It's a mass retreat, a coordinated withdrawal into hiding, but they don't go far. That's the first thing most people misunderstand. Birds don't fly off into the distance at night. In fact, most of them stay within a few hundred feet of where you last saw them. The difference is that they move into places you would never think to look. Dense shrubs, thick hedges, the inner layers of evergreen trees where branches overlap so tightly that even a predator struggles to see inside. Every bird in your yard is making a decision not randomly, but based on a set of criteria that has been refined over millions of years. Their solving a problem is less than #0. 7 hash is greater than where can I go that minimizes my chance of being seen, while still allowing me to detect danger in time to escape? Too exposed. And you're an easy target. Too hidden. And you lose awareness. Survival exists in the balance between the two. Take the cardinal. For example, that bright red bird that stands out so vividly during the day becomes almost invisible at night. Not because its color changes, but because of where it chooses to go. It moves into the densest vegetation it can find: a holly bush, a tangle of vines, An evergreen hedge, not for warmth, but for concealment. A sleeping bird is defenseless. Its only real protection is not being seen at all, is less than #0. 7# is greater than cardinal, and once a cardinal finds a location that works, it will return to it again and again, night after night, sometimes for weeks or even months. Your yard might feel empty after sunset, but just a few feet away, hidden behind layers of leaves and branches, there could be birds sleeping in the exact same spot every single night, and you would never know. But finding the right place to sleep is only half the battle. Because once the night sets in, a much more dangerous problem begins to unfold: energy. Small birds live on an incredibly tight energy budget. During the day, they feed constantly, burning calories almost as quickly as they consume them. But at night, that intake stops completely. No food, no movement, just hours of continuous energy loss. For a bird that weighs less than an ounce, this is a crisis. A single cold night can push them to the edge of survival. If they burn through their fat reserves before morning, is less than #0. 6.5# is greater than there is no second chance. They simply don't wake up. And this is where things become almost unbelievable. Because some birds have developed a way to survive that sounds more like science fiction than biology. On cold nights, species like the chickadee enter a state known as regulated hypothermia or torpor. Instead of maintaining their normal body temperature, they deliberately lower it. Their metabolism slows. Their heart rate drops. Their entire system shifts into a controlled shutdown, conserving just enough energy to keep them alive until sunrise is less than #0. 7# is greater than, it's not true, hibernation. They can wake quickly if needed, but it's close. A temporary suspension of normal function, designed for one purpose: survival. Without it, many of these birds would not make it through the night. Even more remarkable is that they don't do this blindly. The decision to enter torpor depends on conditions: temperature, body fat, environmental risk. It's a calculation. Too much shutdown, and they may not react fast enough to a predator. Too little, and they burn through the energy they can't afford to lose. Every night is a balance between freezing and fleeing, between conserving energy and staying alive. And even in that reduced state, they are never fully asleep. This is where the night becomes something entirely different from what we experience. Because birds do not sleep the way we do is less than #0. 7# is greater than many species are capable of something called unihemispheric sleep, a state where one half of the brain rests while the other remains active. One eye closed, the other open, watching, processing, ready. It's not rest in the human sense. It's vigilance disguised as rest. If a branch snaps, if a shadow moves, if the faint sound of wings cuts through the dark, they can react instantly. And this awareness isn't isolated. It's distributed across the environment. Imagine a network invisible, silent, but constantly active. A robin, startled by movement, gives a brief alarm call is less than #0. 7# is greater than. A dove launches into flight, its wings producing that sharp whistling sound as it cuts through the air. These signals travel. They ripple outward through the darkness, reaching other birds hidden in trees and shrubs nearby. Even those that never saw the threat become aware of it. The night, which feels empty to us, is actually filled with information signals passing between individuals, creating a shared awareness of danger. Your backyard at midnight isn't quiet. It's just operating on a frequency you can't perceive. But even that system isn't enough to eliminate risk. Because while birds are hiding, watching, conserving, something else is moving. Predators that are perfectly adapted to the dark. Owls, for example, are built for this exact environment. Their flight is nearly silent. Their feathers designed to break up turbulence and eliminate sound. Their vision is optimized for low light. And their hearing is so precise they can locate prey without seeing it at all. A bird hidden deep inside a bush may feel safe, but if it makes even the smallest movement, that illusion can disappear instantly is less than #0. 7# is greater than domestic cats. Add another layer of danger, especially in suburban environments. Unlike natural predators, they don't hunt for survival. They hunt out of instinct, often killing far more than they need. A single night can be enough to wipe out multiple birds in a small area. And for the birds, there is no warning system that is perfect. Only probabilities. Only chances. And yet, in the face of all that risk, some birds do something that seems completely contradictory. They come together. Species that are territorial during the day defending space, chasing away intruders, competing for resources suddenly abandon those rules at night. Bluebirds, for instance, have been observed packing into a single cavity. Sometimes more than a dozen individuals pressed together in a space barely large enough for a few. During the day, these same birds would not tolerate each other's presence. But at night, the equation changes. Shared body heat increases, survival is less than #0. 7# is greater than. Proximity becomes an advantage. Competition gives way to cooperation. Not out of preference, but out of necessity. This shift reveals something deeper about survival in the natural world. Behavior is not fixed. It adapts to context. What matters during the day territory? Dominance. Access to food becomes secondary at night. The only thing that matters is making it to above all of this, above the hidden birds, the silent predators, the invisible signals something even larger is happening. Something most people never consider at all. Because while your backyard seems still, the sky above it can be filled with movement. Not a few birds, not even hundreds, but thousands, sometimes millions. Migratory species travel at night, using the cover of darkness to avoid predators and conserve energy. They navigate using stars, the Earth's magnetic field, and cues we are only beginning to understand. On peak migration nights is less than #0. 65 is greater than the number of birds passing over a single region can be so large that it appears on weather radar. Entire populations moving across continents while the world below sleeps. Some of these birds will arrive in your yard weeks later, and you'll never connect the two moments. The quiet night above you and the sudden appearance of new birds in the morning feel unrelated. But they are part of the same system, the same cycle, the same hidden layer of activity that exists beyond what we can see. Yet, this system is changing. Not slowly, but in ways that are already having consequences. Artificial light at night confuses migrating birds, drawing them off course. Many circle illuminated buildings until exhaustion, colliding with glass or falling from the sky. Urban noise disrupts communication. Climate change shifts the timing of migration, creating mismatches between when birds arrive and when food is available. The night once a predictable environment is becoming something else, and the birds are being forced to adapt faster than evolution ever intended is less than #0. 7 is greater than. So the next time your backyard goes quiet, the next time the feeder's empty and the branches sit still, understand what you're actually looking at. Not absence, not emptiness, but concealment. Survival in progress. A world that hasn't stopped, but shifted into a form you were never meant to see. Because while you sleep, your backyard is still alive, watching, listening, enduring the longest, most dangerous hours of the day. And by the time morning comes, the ones that remain will step back into the light as if nothing ever happened.